Once upon a time, in a far-off kingdom,
more than anything,
lived a young maiden, a sad young lad,
I wish,
and a childless baker,
more than life,
I wish, with his
more
wife,
than anything,
more than
the
moon. I wish the king is having a festival,
more than life,
I wish to go to the festival,
more than riches. I wish my cow would give us some milk,
more than anything.
I wish we had a child.
I want a child.
I wish to go to the festival.
I wish we might have a child. I wish.
the poor girl's mother had died.
You Cinderella, the festival. Cinderella, the festival, the festival, the festival, the king's festival.
And her father had taken for his new wife
The festival.
a woman with 2 daughters of her own.
Look at your nails, at your dress. People would laugh at you. Nevertheless, you still should go to the festival and dance before the prince.
All 3 were beautiful of face, but vile and black of heart. Jack, on the other hand, had no father, and his mother,
I wish.
well, she was not quite beautiful.
I wish my son were not a fool. I wish my house was not a mess. I wish the cow was full of milk. I wish the walls were full of gold. I wish a lot of things. You foolish child, what are you doing with the cow inside the house?
A warm environment might be just what Milky White needs to produce his milk.
It's a she! How many times must I tell you only she's can give milk? Why, come in, little girl. I wish it's not for me, it's for my granny in the woods. A loaf of bread, please, to bring my poor old hungry granny in the woods. Just a loaf of bread, please.
Cinderella's stepmother had a surprise for her.
I have emptied a pot of lentils into the ashes for you. If you have picked them out again in 2 hours' time, you may go to the ball with us.
And perhaps a sticky bun or 4 birds in the sky, birds in the eaves, in the leaves, in the fields, in the castles and ponds, and a few of those little birds down from the eaves, over leaves, over fields, out of castles and ponds.
No squeeze now.
Sip the ashes into the pot. Listen well, son. Milky White must be taken to market.
Mother, no, he's the best cow.
Was. She's been dry for a week. We've no food nor money and no choice but to sell her while she can still command a price.
But Milky White is my best friend in the whole world.
Look at her. There are bugs on her dugs. There are flies in her eyes. There's a lump on her rump big enough to be a hump.
But,
son, we've no time to sit and dither while her withers wither with her. And no one keeps a cow for a friend. Sometimes I fear you're touched. Into the woods, it's time to go. I hate to leave, I have to though. Into the woods, it's time, and so I must begin my journey. Into the woods and through the trees to where I am expected, ma'am. Into the woods to grandmother's house. Into the woods to grandmother's house.
You're certain of your way?
The way is clear, the light is good. I have no fear, nor no one should. The woods are just trees, the trees are just wood. I sort of hate to ask it, but do you have a basket?
Don't stray and be late.
And save some of those sweets for Granny.
Into the woods and down the dell, the path is straight, I know it well. Into the woods and who can tell what's waiting on the journey. Into the woods to bring some bread to Granny who is sick in bed. Never can tell what lies ahead, for all that I know she's already dead. But into the woods, into the woods, into the woods to grandmother's house and home before dark. Fly birds back to the sky, back to the eaves and the leaves and the fields and the
Hurry up, Newt, my hair, Cinderella. Are you really wearing that?
Here I found a little tear, Cinderella. Can't you hide it with the hat?
You look beautiful.
I know.
She means me.
Put it in a twist.
Who will be there?
Mother said be good, father said be nice. That was always their advice. So be nice, Cinderella, good Cinderella. Nice, good, nice.
Tighter!
What's the good of being good if everyone is blind and you're always left behind? Never mind, Cinderella, kind Cinderella. Nice, good, kind, good.
his mother and father in a baking accident. Well, at least that's what he believed. He was eager to have a family of his own and was concerned that all efforts until now had failed.
Who might that be?
We have sold our last loaf of bread.
It's the witch from next door!
We have no bread!
Of course you have no bread.
What do you wish?
It's not what I wish. It's what you wish. Nothing cooking in there now, is there?
The witch went on to tell the couple that she had placed a spell on their house.
What spell?
In the past, when you were no more than a babe, your father brought his young wife and you to this cottage. They were a handsome couple, but not handsome neighbors. You see, your mother was with child, and she had developed an unusual appetite. She took one look at my beautiful garden and told your father that what she wanted more than anything in the world was greens, and nothing but greens. Parsley, peppers, cabbages, and celery, asparagus, and watercress, and fiddleberries, and lettuce. He said, all right, but it wasn't quite, because I caught him in the autumn in my garden one night. He was robbing me, raping me, rooting through my rutabaga, raiding my arugula, and ripping up the rampion, my champion, my favorite. I should have laid a spell on him right there. I could have turned him into stone, or a dog, or a chair, or a and I'd lost you spare. In return, however, I said fair is fair. You can let me have the baby that your wife will bear. And we'll call it square.
I had a brother?
No, but you had a sister.
But the witch refused to tell him any more of his sister. Not even that her name was Rapunzel. She went on.
I thought I had been more than reasonable, and that we all might live happily ever after. But how was I to know what your father had hidden in his pocket? You see, when I had inherited that garden, my mother had warned me I would be punished if I were ever to lose any of the beans. Beans? The special beans. I let him go. I didn't know he'd stolen my beans. I was watching him crawl back over the wall, then bang, crash in the lightning fashion. Well, that's another story. Never mind. Anyway, unless the big day came and I made my claim, oh, don't take away the baby, they shrieked and screeched. But I did, and I hid her while she'll never be reached. And your father cried and your mother died. But for extra measure, I'd admit it was a pleasure. I said sorry, I'm still not mollified. And I laid a little spell on them. You too, son. That your family tree would always be a barren one. No more fuss and there's no more scenes, and my garden thrives. You should see my nectarines. But I'm telling you the same I tell kings and queens. Don't ever, never, ever mess around with my greens. Especially the beans. Now listen to me, Jack. Lead Milky White to market and fetch the best price you can. Take no less than £5. Are you listening to me?
Yes.
Now how much are you to ask?
No more than 5.
Less
Than 5.
Jack, 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 head in a sack. The house is getting colder. This is not a time for dreaming. Chimney stack starting to crack. The mice are getting bolder. The floor's gone slack. Your mother's getting older. Your father's not back. And you can't just sit here dreaming pretty dreams. To wish and wait from day to day will never keep the wolves away. So into the woods, the time is now. We have to live, I don't care how. Into the woods to sell the cow. You must begin the journey. Straight through the woods and don't delay. We have to face the marketplace. Into the woods to journey's end.
Into the woods to sell a friend.
Someday you'll have a real pet, Jack.
A piggy?
The witch, for purposes of her own, went on to tell the baker how he might lift the spell.
You wish to have the curse reversed?